What is the cost of your clothes? I'm not talking about the number printed on price tags. My question is about the real cost. Now, if you are not sure, you'll want to watch the story because there's a good chance that your clothes come from fast fashion, which is only getting faster and destroying our planet at a greater speed. I'll tell you more about it, but first some good news. Countries are slowly waking up to the greed of fast fashion, and the latest among them is France. It has released a bonus scheme. It's for those who have a rip in their trousers or a shirt with a misplaced button or a pair of worn-out shoes. France will pay you for these clothes and shoes to be repaired. The government will pay anywhere between $6 and $28. They've set aside $172 million for this. They're calling it the Repair Bonus Fund. It will be used over the span of 5 years, and it's meant to encourage people to mend their clothes. I know it sounds quite random, but it's also intelligent. You see, France has a clothing waste problem. It generates 700,000 tons of textile waste every year. About 2/3 of this ends up in landfills. But this problem is not unique to France. The world over, 92 million tons of textile is discarded every year. 92 million tons every year. A truck full of waste clothes is dumped in a landfill every second. What explains this? Fast fashion. It's a relatively recent phenomenon. It began during the 1990s. That's when retailers began to introduce cheaper clothes. So cheap that people scrambled to buy them. But what made these clothes affordable? Their quality or the lack of it. These clothes were poorly made. They were mass-produced at breakneck speed to match the pace of fashion trends. Decades later, fast fashion is still in trend. It has made style cheap and convenient, and we all lap it up. Think about your wardrobe and be honest. Remember that outfit you were once so eager to buy, the one that's now buried at the back of your closet. How long has it been since you last wore it? We buy a different outfit for every occasion or a new outfit to match a new trend. Yet so many clothes languish deep inside our cupboards. Many of them don't fit us anymore. Others have gone out of fashion. Some have never ever been worn. Here's what a study found. A majority of people wear just 20% of their closet 80% of the time. And at least 12% of our clothes are quote-unquote inactive, meaning they've been forgotten about. Out of sight, out of mind. And yet we continue to buy more clothes. The average consumer is now buying 60% more clothing than they did 15 years ago. Because fast fashion offers us the choice to do so. It churns out new styles on an ever shorter cycle. But it does not design or produce clothes that last. So it's ironic that they last almost forever. More than 60% of fibers used in clothes are synthetic. So when our clothing ends up in a landfill, it does not decay. And this cycle is problematic from the word go. It starts with how the fast fashion industry produces clothes. The boom in production has increased carbon emissions. Textile production generates 10% of global carbon emissions. It contributes to 20% of global wastewater. After all, it takes 20,000 liters of water to produce 1 kilogram of cotton and 2,700 liters of water to make just one T-shirt. That's enough water for one person to drink for 900 days. Is a new dress or a trendy pair of jeans really worth it? Maybe it's time to check our privilege, because fast fashion is ultimately about that. The privilege to buy as many clothes as we want, usually only for their style. And it is a privilege to ignore the environmental consequences of all of it, not just in the now, but also in the future. By 2030, 134 million tons of textile waste will be discarded annually. And the apparel industry's global emissions will double. So it's time for us to slow down, to appreciate what we have before we try to acquire more. And I must say, a lot of what I've said is a note to self. Shopping feels good in the moment, but the repercussions may not be worth it. So let's try to buy sustainably, recycle our belongings, reuse them, because when it comes to fashion waste, a stitch in time could save our planet.